To order. Would everyone please stand? Mr. Bernheimer, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Dear God, as we come together this evening to discuss city matters, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. We seek your direction and help to listen attentively to one another with open hearts and open minds. May our decisions be guided by integrity and fairness for the good of the city. For these intentions we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Waite. Thank you, Mr. Bernheimer. I'm Paul Markgraf, the mayor of Lakeside Park. To my immediate left is our city clerk treasurer, Teresa Bruck. Normally, our city attorney would be sitting to my right. That's Mr. Greg Voss. However, he is on vacation. So I get to do a lot of reading today. Mrs. Bruck, would you please read the roll?
Tom Bernheimer.
Here.
Dennis Landwehr.
Here.
Cassie Schaubel.
Here.
Marion Thaman.
Here.
Brian Waite.
Here.
Dave Wolford.
Here. Thank you. All 6 members are here. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing for the Municipal Road Aid Fund. This is required to be able to use any of the funds we receive from the state for the municipal road aid. The amount that we received last year was just under $53,000. That must be used for our actual road work. Over the last years, we have averaged about $56,000, although we did have a couple of very high years, $66,000, $71,000. So we have it in the budget for, I believe we had $55,000. But so, is there anyone who would wish to speak on this? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed, and we'll consider the use of these funds for our road projects this year. Next, we need to adopt the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move that we adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Thaman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Bernheimer. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we can do this by a voice vote. All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. The next, we have the minutes of May 12th, 2025. They have been distributed. I will entertain a motion to adopt the meeting minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Wolfer. Is there any discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of adopting the minutes of May 12th, 2025 is submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, they are adopted unanimously. Next up, citizens addressing council. Mr. Grimes, did you wish to address council?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rob Grimes, 334 Farmington Drive. It's good to be back at a council meeting. Appreciate all council's work this year. It's been a very busy year, so appreciate all your leadership. I'm here tonight on behalf of Blessed Sacrament Boosters. We have our corn roast event here in a few months, so we're in fundraising mode, preparing for the corn roast, trying to find some sponsors for the corn roast event, and then for the rest of the year for Blessed Sacrament Boosters, to basically just raise the money for the cost of uniforms, sporting equipment, league fees, and our largest expense, which is maintaining the fields at DCCH. Our BSS mission is to offer children an opportunity to participate in recreational sports, and our sports are not exclusive for BSS students. So these were some statistics that were surprising to me. I haven't even been on BSS boosters for the past few years, but in 2024, 1,324 athletes registered for BSS booster activities. Non-booster students made up 48% of registrations. 234 of those registrants or 18% of them were children from Lakeside Park, Kentucky. So I just wanted to point out that BSS Boosters is a non-exclusive, is not just exclusive to Blessed Sacrament. There's only 2 sports at Blessed Sacrament that require you to go to school there, and that's basketball and volleyball. Also, many people do not realize that BSS Boosters is responsible for maintaining the DCCH fields, whereas Freedom Park in Edgewood is maintained by the city, General Ormsby by Fort Mitchell, I believe. The DCCH fields are one of the few green spaces in Lakeside Park and Fort Mitchell areas. The DCCH fields service, or the playing surface for BSS Boosters, dozens of other recreational organizations. I think Lakeside Park hosted Easter egg hunt there once when the park, or Ormsby was under construction. And when the field's not occupied, local citizens can utilize the fields. Also, the last thing I'll say is BSS Booster athletes have proudly served the city of Lakeside Park. The girls' basketball team set out the luminaries before Light Up Lakeside, and a dozen BSS Booster athletes proudly packed the eggs for the Easter egg hunt. So I gave 2 printouts before to Mayor Margroff, and was just looking for some kind of feedback on potentially sponsoring the corn roast. With the corn roast, you'd get recognition at the corn roast event. I think everyone's familiar with the corn roast festival, August 9th. And then also, we have your name would be displayed. We have a sponsorship board when you're entering and exiting the field, so it would say City of Lakeside Park, just like the dozen or so corporate sponsors we have. So thought it might be a good opportunity for city to put their name on that, and just wanted to bring it to the council.
I certainly do appreciate it. I will take feedback from council members, whether you wish to do it now or privately after the meeting. I know that you've been very actively involved. I coached for many, many years through
Sure.
the boosters and always enjoyed that. But that will be a matter. I'd like to have the input from council.
I have a question.
Okay.
Would that be something that comes out of the recreation budget then?
I don't know where it would come out of right now. Potentially, it would, it could. I don't know.
I think I just need some input. I always thought we could not support organizations. I remember the Boy Scouts wanted to do a fish fry, and we couldn't put it on the board because, God forbid, if we advertised for the Boy Scouts fish fry, then we had to advertise for anybody that came up. Is that still true, or?
The policy as far as the signboard, when it's working, is that we do not advertise on the signboard for other groups. I know for the 150th anniversary of the children's home, we did allow them to put a sign out in the yard, as we had for the adopted troop. But typically we do not, because of that, put them actually on the signboard, because the question becomes, where do you draw the line? But as far as whether or not we could actually make a donation, I will have to get an opinion from Mr. Voss on that. I know typically we have not in the past.
When is the corn roast, Rob?
Friday, August 8th.
Okay.
So,
August
yeah,
8th.
there's,
What's the amount of sponsorship? There are various levels.
I'm
yeah, I think
sure
there's
that there are various.
yeah, it's on page 2 or 3 of that pamphlet. 250 is the entry level sponsorship, all the way up to 5,000.
5,000.
So 1,000 would be very generous, but yeah, there's 250, 500, 1,000, which is one of the three I was.
So
I think he would be a good fit for council.
Okay. Well, I will seek an opinion from Mr. Voss, and then I will communicate what he tells me to all of the council members.
Okay.
And we do have plenty of time, because we do have one meeting before that
Sure.
as well, if it's something that we need to bring up again.
Okay. So that's something that would need to be voted on for approval.
I guess money.
Can we
I
take,
would,
can we take a vote barring, I mean, assuming that this is allowed legally, and can we,
I would prefer not to take a vote until we know whether we can or not.
Okay.
perfect.
I don't like to have motions and all, if it's something that we're not permitted to do.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Cassie's idea is like, the recreation makes sense, is what I should say. I think about if we have 18% of our kids that are participating in it, I kind of think of like in order for our residents to participate in the senior games, we needed somebody from Lakeside Park to volunteer and do some stuff. So I don't know, if it's something that might be in lines that are appropriate with the amount of kids or percentages that we are, would be my idea if we're allowed to do it.
But as far as the sponsorship money, it's, the whole cities would be sponsored and not just recreation.
Yeah, well, I guess, or I don't know how you do that,
But I guess we don't have to find the funds until we know if we can even do it, so.
right?
Okay. Well, sounds good. Well,
Okay.
I will find out, and Rob, I will
Sounds good.
certainly let you know.
Sounds great.
Thanks,
Rob.
for visiting.
Thanks for,
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
thanks for presenting the statistics too, the overall picture.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. Any other residents wish to address council? Hearing none, we'll go to the mayor's report. Only several items here. The sidewalk project is going along well. All the grinding is done, and the slab replacement is underway. Substantial amount of the sidewalk slabs have been replaced. I've received quite a few compliments on the final job, as well as the demeanor of the workers of the companies who are doing the work. We hosted the mayor's group on May 17th. We had the director of the Council of Aging present that they are looking for statistics on how to address issues with seniors. They're still in the fact-finding part of that. I've also received a lot of complaints about traffic. Speeding on the highways, on our roads, disregarding stop signs, utter disregard for red lights, people just blasting through, almost causing accidents. Many people turning right on red without stopping, almost causing accidents. These actions put our residents and others at risk. If you're driving a car or you're a pedestrian. I've had 2 people in the last month right here at Dixie and Buttermilk who have almost been hit by cars turning right when they're in the crosswalk. This cannot continue. Unfortunately, I see it as a lack of respect for others and a me-first mentality that you've got to get to where you're going as soon as you can. So I intend to bring up at the police authority meeting to please have our officers watch this a little bit more closely. And as highlighted, kind of a corollary, we have kids at play. This is the summer. Kids don't always think before darting out into a street. They don't think when they're operating scooters or these electric scooters. They're bikes and electric scooters and electric bikes. They're getting more and more prevalent. And I've observed it myself, where kids will just turn right in front of you, especially if you have a hybrid or an electric car that isn't making a whole lot of sound. The horn actually startles them quite a bit. So I just ask everyone to please be careful when you're driving. And second of all, the police can't do it all themselves. Parents have a responsibility to talk to their kids and make sure they know they can't just run out into the streets whenever they want or drive their vehicles all over. They need to watch out for cars because a 2-ton car cannot stop many times, even if you're doing the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit that we have. The last thing I'd like to bring up is I'm going to be asking council to consider moving our July meeting because of a prior commitment to the first Monday of July, July 7th. I can get to everybody. We will have the whole regular agenda, but it will be classified as a special meeting. So with that, that concludes the mayor's report. And next up is the city attorney's report. Since Greg is not here, I will be reading the second reading of the ordinances. The first one is ordinance 6-2025, an ordinance amending an ordinance of the city of Lakeside Park, Kentucky, amending chapter 25 of Lakeside Park, Kentucky ordinances related to the ethics code. And aside from the beginning portion, when it comes to the code, I will read it in summary because I know everyone has had a copy of it for over a month now. Whereas the City Council previously passed Ordinance 09/1994 adopting an ethics code for the City of Lakeside Park, Kentucky, and whereas the need has arisen to implement ethics policies relating to the use of electronic communications and social media, and whereas the General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Kentucky has enacted legislation requiring the city to enact and enforce a code of ethics governing the conduct of city officers and employees, and whereas the officials of this city are committed to the operation of the city government, manifesting the highest moral and ethical standards by its officers and employees, and complying with all requirements of the Commonwealth's local government's ethics law. Now therefore it be ordained by the City Council of the City of Lakeside Park, Kentucky, in Section 1, that Chapter 25 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lakeside Park shall be amended as set forth in Exhibit A attached to this ordinance. Section 2, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance shall be and hereby are repealed to the extent of said conflict. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage, publication, and recording according to law. Now, regarding the actual code, there are several definitions that have been added. One is for city business, confidential information, consultant, domestic partner. Family member has been amended to include domestic partner, or the spouse of a domestic partner. Immediate family member has been likewise amended. There is a new definition for financial benefit, for financial interest. And then there is as far as intentionally taking money or discretionary, under Section C, wrong page, page 3. Definition of household, definition of official act, personal benefit, personal interest, social media, subordinate, and transaction. Now, as far as the standards of conduct, general, there is 2 additional changes. No officer may take any discretionary action if under 6, a person or entity from whom the officer or employee has received an election campaign contribution totaling more than $100 during the past election cycle. Or 7, a non-governmental group, social, charitable, or religious organization, which they or an immediate family member is, an officer or director. So those were the changes of that. Under receipt of gifts, subsection C clarifies that there are certain types of gifts that are excluded from the prohibitions, such as gifts from family members. I won't read them all. Then, no city officer or employee in their official capacity may endorse products or services for their own personal or financial interest, or their family members' personal or financial interests. Complicity with or knowledge of others' violations. No officer or employee may directly or indirectly induce, encourage, or aid anyone to violate any provision of this code. If an officer or employee knows or has reasonable suspicion to believe that someone has violated this code, they are required to report it to the Ethics Board pursuant to Section 25403. Then falsely impugning reputation. Any officer or employee may not falsely impugn the reputation of a city resident, employee, or other officer of the city. If an officer or employee believes their accusations to be true and then learns that it was false, even in part, they should apologize in the same forum and manner where the accusations were made. A failure to apologize within a reasonable period of time after learning the falseness of the accusations will create a presumption that the conduct was intentional. Then there are financial disclosures that all of us have filed and will continue to file. And by the 15th of each year, the Ethics Board must review all the financial disclosure statements to determine whether or not any person required to has failed or if there is a violation. Control, maintenance, the board will also designate someone as official records custodian and sets forth when the records may be destroyed. Any person who fails or refuses to file a statement or remedy a deficiency in filing after given notice shall be guilty of a civil offense and subject to a civil fine imposed by the Ethics Board, not to include $25 per day, up to a civil fine maximum of $500. Any person who intentionally files a statement of financial interest that they know to contain false information or intentionally omits required information shall be guilty of a Class A misdemeanor. There's a new section, patronage. No officer or employee may promise the appointment or use of their influence to obtain an appointment to any position as a reward for any political activity or contribution. Social media. City officials and officers can maintain a personal presence on social media. However, to be considered personal, there can be no mention of their status as a city official. Any mention of their status as a city official potentially changes the nature of the page to one for a public agency, requiring record keeping in accordance with the KDLA record retention schedule, and subjecting the entire page to open records requests. Elected officials who want to interact with the community on social media in their role as a city official are required to maintain a separate social media account from their personal account, if they have one. City officials will notify the city clerk of any official pages utilized, and the city clerk shall have access to the social media account. The city clerk will maintain an updated list of official pages of city officials. Elected city officials shall not post comments, blogs, or other communications identifying himself or herself as a city official on any personal social media account. The city officials shall conduct themselves professionally as a representative of the city. The city may maintain one or more social media accounts to keep the public informed concerning activities, events, and general information related to city matters. As a public entity, the city must abide by certain standards to serve all its constituents in a civil and unbiased manner. The city reserves the right to deny access to the city social media sites for any individual who violates the following guidelines at any time and without prior notice. The city's and elected city official social media sites prohibit the posting of content and or comments containing any of the following. Comments not topically related to the particular site or blog article being commented on. Profane language or content. Content that promotes, fosters, perpetuates on the basis of race, creed, color, age, religion, gender, marital status, status with regard to public assistance, national origin, physical or mental disability, or sexual orientation. Another prohibition is anything related to sexual content or links to sexual content. Advertising, solicitations, or phishing. Conduct or encouragement of illegal activities. Information that may tend to compromise the safety or security of the public. Campaign ads or related content advocating for or against a candidate for office. Comments unrelated to a topic or post, as well as multiple off-topic posts or spam by a certain person, by a single person. Content that violates legal ownership interest of any other party. Elected city official pages shall clearly indicate that any content posted or submitted for posting is subject to public disclosure. No comments shall be deleted unless in violation of the posted guidelines. Deleted comments shall be provided to the city clerk and must be saved for a year. City officials shall not conduct city business through their social media sites. If receiving a specific request from a citizen, the city officials shall state words to the effect, "Thank you for your question. Please email me," at their official email address, or contact me by phone. I look forward to speaking with you. Elected officials shall not discuss issues pending before council. Elected officials may seek public input, but shall not respond to comment. Engaging in substantial conversations on social media could require the retention of the posts and may violate the Opens Meetings Act if other elected officials are also engaged in the discussion. And Section 25-401 pertains to email. City officials shall maintain an official meeting mail address as provided by the city clerk treasurer. This must be separate from their personal email account. No city business shall occur through a personal email account. City officials shall retain records according to the KDLA record retention schedule for emails. City officials shall direct any record-keeping questions to the city clerk. Then the majority of the enforcement section remains the same. Under the filing of complaints, there is a new provision. The Ethics Board, on its own initiative, may determine an inquiry is needed and to initiate that. There is also another part here that if there is a complaint with the Ethics Board, the person who's the subject of the complaint may file with the Ethics Board a response to that complaint within 30 days after they receive it. And then the person filing the original complaint would have 5 days to respond. 15 days after that. That any response must be sent to the original complainant within 5 days. Then if there is a hearing that is required, the board may administer oaths, subpoena witnesses, compel attendance. And I believe that any provision of this ordinance is deemed by a court of competent jurisdiction to be unenforceable or unconstitutional, the remaining provisions of this ordinance shall continue in full force and effect. So, that is the second reading of ordinance 06-2025. And with that, I will entertain a motion regarding this ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to accept ordinance 26-2025 as proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Landwehr. Is there a second?
I will second it.
No, sorry.
Mr. Wolfer? Okay, thank you. Now, is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes? Mhm.
Is there a section in this that requires the members of the Board of Ethics to have a public city email account or some kind of contact? Because there isn't currently on the website or on the newsletter. How do we, how would somebody in the city go about reaching the people on the board if they had a complaint or a question?
It would go through the board's local representative, the clerk. They could file a complaint, write a letter in a sealed envelope, and it would be delivered to the board.
Well, I think I would like to make a motion that we get our members of the Board of Ethics to have at least a city email account as well, so there's another way to reach them more directly.
So you're moving for an amendment to the ordinance?
Yes, to have our Board of Ethics members have a public city email account so citizens can reach them.
Is there a second to the motion to amend?
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Wolfer, thank you. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
So I have a question. So you said that would go to the board. Who did you say the letter would go to, Mayor?
It would be delivered to the board care of our city clerk treasurer.
Oh, okay. So the board doesn't have like somebody who runs the meetings, that person could have the email or whatever, and it could be generic to that position. So I guess to that person, if that makes sense. It's kind of like recreation. I think about a recreation email. I don't know.
It is possible for, we have never had an issue before that arises to the need to spend the money to have an email account. It would, if something like that were to happen, I would imagine it would be the chairman of
That's
the
what I
ethics
mean, the
board
chair.
that
Yeah.
would have access to it.
Yeah.
Can I ask who makes up the ethics committee?
We have Mr. Bob Wilson, Mrs. Janet Fetters, and Mrs. Claire Horner,
Okay, so
our
they're not
three
public officials.
present members.
Thank you.
I guess I'm just thinking about the amount of times that ethics board is actually called to do any kind of service for the city is probably pretty infrequent. So to ask them to monitor an email account, I could see where that could,
Right.
well, the frequency that they would need to check it for the amount of times that something's actually going to be there versus, I could see where things could get missed easily would be my concern, is what I'm saying. And so I think having it go through the city clerk, and then the city clerk is specifically calling attention to something, might be more reliable than people who aren't frequently checking email. Is it putting an extra task to these volunteers to be sure that they're checking this email? So,
Would their personal cell phones then be a better option?
I think since we do have the vehicle, from my opinion, since we do have the vehicle where the city clerk is distributing that directly to them, I personally don't have a concern that they're not going to get reached. And of course, these folks are volunteers with the city, so I don't know that giving out their,
Right.
I'm just thinking for me personally, if I were volunteering, I don't know that I'd want my personal cell phone out for
Right.
the public, so.
It sounds like a safe system. If I have a question mark for the ethics board, handwrite a letter, send it to the clerk in a sealed envelope, she distributes that to the members of the board.
Yes.
And I'm sure in a very efficient, timely manner.
And that is what happens with the financial disclosure statements that are prepared by all the
That's true.
members. They're put into a sealed envelope. They're actually, they are delivered to, I believe, to the chairman, or copies made for each member.
No, actually, they come in and meet once a year and review them. So I schedule them an appointment, and they all come in and review it and sign off on it.
And beyond someone writing the letter and sending it in a sealed envelope, I could also picture a situation where someone just calls up and says, "City Clerk, I've got an ethics concern. Can you have the board chair contact me?" And it goes that way in reverse, where the ethics board would then be notified and reaching out. Could be another option if folks feel like they don't want to write a letter.
I
sealed
believe
envelope.
that the way the ordinance has been is that it must be a complaint in writing.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think you
So
read
excuse
that,
me then.
yeah.
That's the way I understood it.
I mean, it could probably always be typed out and printed and put in an envelope, sure.
Handwritten versus.
I mean, to Cassie's point, just as long as the ethics board gets notice promptly is all I'm worried about.
Yes,
Sure.
exactly.
But to your point, Bob Wilson may never check his email
I don't want them
ever.
to not check their email and then someone get riled up that, I submitted
Right.
this complaint and it went into a black hole. So I
Right.
think to me, it's safer to continue the option where it's kind of run through the city clerk and transfer.
I
My
don't think
opinion.
we need to make any changes. And the system is theirs.
Is there any further discussion? We have the amendment to provide city email to the ethics board members. I guess, why don't you read the roll, please, on the amendment?
Okay. Tom Barnheimer,
No.
Dennis Landwehr,
No.
Cassie Shabel,
Yes.
Marianne Feynman,
No.
Brian Wheat,
No.
Dave Wolford.
No.
Okay, the amendment does not pass. We're still in discussion of ordinance 06-2025. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes?
Under the purpose, it mentions the Lakeside Park, Crestview Hills Police Authority. And I realize they're coordinated and combined in their purpose, but do we have any authority over Crestview Hills? Or
No, absolutely not.
then should that be struck from the ordinance?
No, because they are a quasi-official part of the city, and that we send either 2 or 3 members for the review board.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't find that to be a problem down the road. That makes sense then.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll be voting on the passage of ordinance 06-2025. Mrs. Bruck, would you please read roll?
Tom Barnheimer,
Yes.
Dennis Landwehr,
Yes.
Cassie Shabel,
No.
Marianne Feynman,
Yes.
Brian Wheat,
Yes.
Dave Wolford.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted by a vote of 5-1. Next, we have ordinance 7-2025. This is the budget for the city of Lakeside Park. And as you saw when you came in, and it was due to Mike giving the wrong file number, identification to Teresa, what was passed out with the packet was what the discussion copy of the budget was. What you have is the final portion that will be attached to this ordinance. Now, there are two minor changes from what had been presented before. One, the city clerk and I just met with our insurance representatives today. So line 1501, because of the cost for this upcoming year, was raised from $5,500 to $6,000. And our workers' comp under 1502 was raised from $2,000 to $2,500. That is in accord with the insurance bills that we're going to get. On the flip side of that, our portion for the police authority, because they did some work on their health insurance, it is going down from the proposed $795 to $7,000 or $790,000. So that is a decrease of $5,000 in that line item. Other than that, the amounts should be the same. So, this is ordinance 07-2025, an ordinance adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of the city government for the city of Lakeside Park. Whereas an annual budget proposal and message have been prepared and delivered to City Council for the City of Lakeside Park, Kentucky, and whereas the City Council has reviewed such budget proposal and made necessary modifications and recommendations, now therefore be it ordained by the City of Lakeside Park, Kentucky, that the annual budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026 shall be adopted as follows. Section 1. Please see attached Exhibit A, which is incorporated by reference herein, as if fully set out below. Section 2, this ordinance shall take full force and effect after its passage, publication, and recording according to law. Exhibit A is in two sections, the first of which is estimating revenues of $2,238,060 and available balances from prior year, which is called our reserve account of $2,500,000. That is in the general fund, and the expenditures are projected to be $2,524,900 in the general fund. That is the second reading. I will entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 07-2025.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bernheimer. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Is there a discussion?
I have a question about the projected costs for the updated security systems for the city building. What's kind of the bulk of that $10,000 that's needed, and what was driving these projects?
What is in the comments and all, our security system is very outdated. The security company that we are working with is holding on to parts from other systems just to service us if we need. Additionally, we have seen the need that we need additional cameras, such as outside. We have one of our light ballards that was struck by a car, and there was no cameras that were able to be accessed on that section. So for the increased security, that is why. And those are the best estimates that we have. We have one estimate right now. I believe that it's about $8,000. We are seeking others. So to have a little bit of a cushion, that's how the $10,000 portion
And
was
I had
addressed.
Thank you. I had a question about the staff salary increases as well. It says the the wage and salary survey for the cities of population like ours, do you know if that includes the cities of this kind of size that, also have police departments and fire departments that they have to manage? Or is that this similar sized cities without those entities?
I'm really not following your question.
The wage and salary survey for those cities, does that include the cities of this size that also manage police and fire departments?
Those, the wage and salary surveys do also include separate categories for police administration at each level with the police department. So those are separate categories.
Mm-hmm.
These categories, as you had received a copy of it, I believe, they are for cities from 1,500 residents to 3,000 residents.
Okay. And then the last thing was, I noticed that we had a 16,000 item in there for recreation director, that we didn't use any of it last year, but it's still in the budget for this year. So is that something that everybody wants to keep again, or would it be better used somewhere else or not at all?
I have proposed to put that in there. We are advertising. It did go out in the newsletter that we are looking for a recreation director or a recreation coordinator.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
I just want to add that I think if the residents would look at your budget message, they would notice that the mayor and the council have been fiscally conservative all along. So I've always viewed our city budget as consisting of three parts: roads, police, and fire. We have the best fire department around, we have the best police department, and our roads are in great shape. So if we take care of those three and have some funds left over for a rainy day, I think that's all we can ask for. So I'm very happy with this budget, to be honest with you.
Is there any further discussion?
I would have only one comment. Cassie, at this meeting we had, we did all discuss about whether to continue with the recreation, and it was, and that's why it's still in the budget as well, to see if we can get a director and see what we can get going.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll now proceed to a vote on the annual budget. Mrs. Bruck, would you please do a roll call vote?
Tom Bernheimer,
Yes.
Dennis Landwehr,
Yes.
Cassie Schabel,
No.
Marianne Thaman,
Yes?
Brian Waite,
Yes.
Dave Wolfer.
Yes.
Thank you. The budget is adopted by a vote of 5-1. And I believe that completes the city attorney's report. Now, next on the agenda, the clerk treasurer's report. Mrs. Bruck?
Okay, I'm making up for last month. I have all kinds of things. Let's see, we submitted our UFR form for the local government by its deadline, May 1st. We had to, well, we didn't have to, but we chose to upgrade the copier from Walt Solutions so that we can get more paper to be able to send out newsletters ourselves sometimes if we have to at the last minute, and do some other artwork and things with it. Then we had an issue with our live streaming of TBNK transmission for the last few months, and I wanted to let everybody know that TBNK and NKOL did a really good job of trying to figure out what the problem was. We should not have any issues at all from this point forward. Let's see, last month, the mayor and I met with the mayor and the financial committee. We have some CDs and investments that are coming up for maturity, And right now, I'm looking at some rates to see if we can do a little better. Let's see here. Jeanette and I participated in a KLC cyber training webinar, which was very informational to help us with the recent insurance estimate that we got. We talked about that today, and it was very beneficial. Let's see, we had a situation with a disabled resident that was not able to maintain her lawn, and I wanted to say thank you to all the churches that helped let me reach out to them. That would be Lakeside Christian Church, Lakeside Presbyterian Church, Emmanuel Church, and Northern Kentucky Baptist Church. I sent an email to all of them asking if anybody could come help her. And we did have someone from one of the churches show up and help cut her grass for her, get everything taken care of. So I really appreciate that. Let's see, we're preparing the 24-25 fiscal year books to in our QuickBooks, but we're going to have to upgrade from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online because our program that we have now is no longer supported. So we'll be doing that in 1st of July. Jeanette and I spoke with a representative from text.gov who had a really good product for texting capabilities to all of our residents, but it was very costly, so we didn't present it to the mayor or anybody. But I will tell you, it was a really great product. Then we had met with Adam Howard from Kenton County Business Services, who came in and gave us all the updates that they're doing with their new system changes. And then, unfortunately, the last thing I have to say is our signboard is done. We had a fluke that happened, and it went out, and unfortunately, it fried one of the motherboards. We do have a new board, or 2 boards on order, but we may not have a signboard for a few more weeks. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Bruck. Does anyone have any questions?
Just a comment, if I may, on the TBNK's response, it was very good. I was partially involved in that, but I do want to caution you never to say never in the world of technology.
Oh.
Yeah, hopefully it's going out live right now.
But I did want
We
to
got the
thank
thumbs
them.
up, so.
I did want to thank them, though, because they did a really good job of investigating to try and figure out what the problem
Don't dig
is.
yourself into that hole.
I also have a comment. I just was very pleased with the most recent newsletter. I thought it looked very professional and the layout looks great. So I just want to commend Mrs. Bruck and congratulate her for her work on that, and thank you for all your hard work on that. I think it looks fantastic. So
Thank you.
Good
It
job.
really
you.
did.
I second
I
that.
agree. I agree as well.
Thank you. Committee reports, Fire and EMS. Chief couldn't be here tonight because of vacation, but you did receive the summary report for the calls. It appears that it's pretty much the normal, staying in line with what the past has been for Lakeside Park. Public Works.
Public Works, that would be me. On the sidewalk assessment, as you covered in your report, Mayor, that we are on schedule and it's going as planned. Some good comments out there about the work that was being done and about the people that were doing the work. The Dixie Highway Sidewalk Crestview Hills project, that's proceeding. We're waiting approval, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But even after approval, the project won't be underway until next spring sometime. These things take time working with various governments. The Belmont Avenue resurfacing, we are going to apply for some grant money, although we have been informed that the number of grants and the money available has been drastically reduced. But we figured if we don't submit and try, we won't get anything anyway, so the decision was made to give it our best shot. Crosswalk improvements have seen no change. Dixie Highway benches, no change at this point. Marlowe Way and Shaker reconstruction, Was supposed to start today. Do you know if they,
I don't know whether they started, but they are definitely starting this week.
okay, so that's on schedule. Next is the Williams Avenue trench drain. That was put into the sidewalk scheduling, not as part of the program. That it won't be charged as a sidewalk, but since the contractors were gonna be here anyway, they're gonna be working on finishing that reconstruction. The 5-year street program. There's a company called InfraHubs Inventory that takes pictures all the way down any city streets, looking at signage and damage or assessment of all the city streets. And we have decided to participate in that at a cost of $784 because there is no one that works here that can do it for less than that. And it'll give us an awful lot of important information. So we made the decision to go ahead and be part of that. As far as Steve Greer's projects, he's got the flags up. He did some weed spraying to cut down on the spread of the weeds and the good grass and the vegetation. He's moving this piece out. It'll be moved from where it currently is to West Lakeside, just before Penwood, and hopefully that'll get some people to slow down, but doesn't always work that way. And Steve has measured every one of the grindings that has taken place just to make sure that the bills are correct before they go out. Teresa, the city clerk, mentioned the sign replacement. We had thought we were on top of that, and we actually were. It just died before we expected it to. It was close to end of life, so we had planned for replacement, which is probably the only reason that we're going to be able to do it in the next couple of weeks, because it has been ordered. And that concludes Public Works. Unless, Mayor, do you have anything else?
Well,
Mary Ann, Dennis?
I would need help on the clarification, but the Belmont project, we had originally applied for, I don't know what the specific grant was, but we were denied. So there is another funds money that we're working on now applying for that to see if we can get that. So it's just, that's why it's kind of on. I'm so happy. I appreciate all the homeowners that have participated in this and have repaired their sidewalks.
My compliments to Steve again for measurements on all the sidewalks. I just happened to be walking and I saw him out there.
Mr. Landor, when you speak, would you
Oh, I'm
please
sorry.
They have to pick you up with the microphone.
My apologies.
I appreciate the eye contact, but
My compliments to Steve, his dedication, because I witnessed him and talked to him doing the exact measurements on the sidewalks on Marion, so he's hard at work as always.
And he
We're
did
very
make,
fortunate that Steve
Yeah.
has
Saving
many
us,
talents.
right, he is.
he's counting pennies.
And he made the, and he is, since he's been so busy with the sidewalk project, in case anybody's been wondering if he's gonna paint curbs that you wanted, he's catching up and gonna be doing all those other duties here as this project winds down.
thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Next, Police Authority. In your packet, you received the approved minutes of the meeting of April 21st, and the proposed minutes of last month's meeting on May 19th. You also received a copy of the activity report that shows that about 32% of all the calls emanated and concerned Lakeside Park. Our next, we did meet on the 19th, as stated. We reviewed and approved the finances. We had second reading of the budget, and the police budget is $2,655,778, and that is applying a $100,000 surplus that we have. Our share of it is 29.7%. Therefore, in our budget, we budgeted for $790,000. Curtis Bush passed all of his requirements. and began working for the city on May 27th. The police department members also attended the Northern Kentucky Police Memorial ceremony on May 14th. The current budget for the current fiscal year was also amended in a couple of areas just to provide additional resources for areas that were needed. They were very minor, I believe under $10,000 total. Then we engaged in an executive session to interview several members for the open sergeant's position. One other item that I'd like to bring up to everyone, if you're going on vacation and you would like our officers to pay special attention to your home, give us a call at 859-331-5368. You will be placed on a schedule for vacation home checks. That's very important for your peace of mind. Or you can double check with the website as well. Our next meeting, regular meeting, will be on the 16th of this month at 5:30. Mr. Waite, Mr. Landwehr, Chief, is there anything that I missed?
That I know, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none. Let's move to PDS.
The PDS Council met last month on the 15th. Personnel from PDS reviewed activity and presented the proposed budget for next year. The PDS Council did approve that proposed budget for the new fiscal year. The list of permits and violations are included in your packet, and that's it for PDS.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, would this be the appropriate time to bring up the fencing issue that's on Applewood with the pool? I got an email that was forwarded about the zoning for the fence that, on the property that borders that church. Did everybody else get that?
209 Apple is what you're speaking of.
Yeah. There was a request for a text amendment for that, to add the following language to say that rear yard fences that enclose a swimming pool and abut a parcel with an institutional use may be permitted to be less than 50% open, provided that the fence is located on the rear property line abutting the property with an institutional use. The property with the pool has provided written consent from adjacent property owners for the fence to be less than 50% open, and that the fence complies with all other applicable safety and zoning requirements. I guess I would like, is there a reason why we haven't discussed that, or is this the right time to do that?
Well, quite truthfully, I expected that homeowner and/or his attorney to come tonight, but they haven't. That decision had been made by, in relation to their citation, and their appeal had been rejected, and that had been rejected more than 6 months ago. They have not shown up to present anything to council. At the moment, our zoning laws do not permit a closed fence. It must be at least 50% open. And the homeowner was well aware of that when his permit was issued.
Well, it seems pretty reasonable if it's just the one side that lines that institutional piece of land. So I guess I would make the motion to amend that section for the fences to include those items.
With the proper procedure would be probably to have a motion for I believe it's a municipal order that would be fully prepared and discussed, and that needs to be sent down to PDS.
Okay.
If that is the course of action council would like to take. There's a motion. Is there a second? Second call? No second?
I'll make a second.
Okay.
Something to consider.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? What I will say is that one of the reasons is security, that there is that all of the fences need to be open. If a police officer is chasing a suspect and someone can hide behind a fence, that officer might be ambushed or put other residents at risk. And as I understand what is being requested, that is hiding from view from a public institution. The places are coming from that. I hope that never happens in our city. But I wouldn't want to put them at risk. But if we were to consider a municipal order on that, I would ask for more input and clarification from other sources. This isn't something that I believe the chief would be ready to comment on at this point.
Right.
But that was just one of the reasons for the prohibition originally.
It's good to know.
Is there any other discussion?
I didn't
Here.
realize that either. It makes,
Me either, yeah.
makes total sense now that you say it, but
Yeah.
Any further discussion? We do have a motion and a second on the board. All in favor of motion to create a municipal order to present the issue to PDS, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No. No. Basis
I believe I heard 5, so the motion fails. 1 in favor, 5 against. Any other questions, issues, PDS? Thank you. Next up, finance.
Finance, I stopped in the office last week to review the financials and the bank statements. Everything reconciled perfectly, so again, kudos to Mrs. Bruck, and thank you for your hard work. The final 2 tax bills are pending with Greg for collection, and that's it for the finance report.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none. Municipal Government League.
Municipal
Mr.
Government League. Mr. Mayor, the Northern Kentucky Municipal Government League met last month and was very well attended with representatives from all of the Northern Kentucky region. We also had representatives from Frankfort and the Kentucky League of Cities. Roundtable discussions revolved around human resources. Our conclusion was that retention of good employees, as we all know, revolves around economic benefits. Everyone agreed how important their employees are, and retention was a key. This was not only meant on our city, but also our police department and our fire department. Also in attendance were the 4 captains and chiefs from the Police Chiefs Association to discuss police training facility in Northern Kentucky. Also, the facility in Madisonville was brought up and discussed heavily because it has taken such a relief from the overload at Richmond. Unlikely we will have an academy in Northern Kentucky, but the expansion of our training facility was key to our discussions. With training facility in Northern Kentucky region, we are able to continue to recertify our current officers here instead of sending them to the Eastern Station. This has become a great beneficial factor to our economically for all our cities, just as a brief example, our officers and others have taken their drone training through the training center in Boone County. This has become a huge savings for our departments. Other counties are actively being recruited and involved in the training center, and they're hoping to expand farther within the region, the Northern Kentucky region. With the addition of Madisonville, Richmond has been able to become more up-to-date in scheduling, which has reduced wait time considerably, hopefully down to within an 8-week waiting period. The balance of our meeting revolved around the discussion of unified collection of occupational and payroll taxes. In capital letters, the word Frankfurt came up a lot. And a number of folks have said the same thing. They should just keep their hands off of our city and off of our taxes. And our next event is a social event at the Florence U-All next month. And that's my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Landwehr. Next, recreation.
Thank you, Mayor. Last month, we hosted a couple dance fitness classes, and we did one in the morning, one in the evening. Got a few more people in the evening, but we're not going to continue this at this time unless somebody would want to let us know of their interest, and we may consider in the fall. The yard sale was last Saturday. There were about 22 who participated in the sales, and once again, another enjoyed by many people, like comments I've gotten. The shred event went well, and the office got a lot of positive feedback from that. So these two events appear to be something we will continue over the next, like next year again as an annual event, along with the large item pickup that we had last Saturday as well. Last Saturday, the babysitting class was scheduled, but we postponed it due to some other scheduling issues. So it will be this Saturday, the 14th. It'll be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it is taught and given by the Fort Mitchell Fire Department. The cost is $10 for Lakeside Park residents and $20 for non-residents. This class is focused towards infant care and young child care and safety. It's not a CPR or anything like that. And please register at the website if you would like your preteen to attend. We have a few registered, hoping for several more. Next is tomorrow. We're hosting the senior bingo from 2 to 3:30 with with Fort Mitchell. This will be our last collaborated event or bingo with them. We are, however, as a city, are going to do another one in August, and I'll mention that, and possibly every 6 months after that. So tomorrow here, 2 to 3:30, both sponsored by Lakeside Park and Fort Mitchell. Next, I have the babysitting class for next Saturday from 8 to 12. And then June 20th, the Kentucky Recreation and Parks are having a fundraiser to help fund money for the parks, recreation events, and whatnot. It's going to be at the Thomas More Stadium there on Freedom Drive, Freedom Way in Florence, Kentucky. That is going to be on June 20th, if I didn't say that. The tickets are going to be $13. They need to be pre-purchased by the 19th, and also can go to the website and do that as well. On July 4th, just a reminder, the office will be closed in celebration of the July 4th holiday. Friday, July the 11th, we're going to have a euchre here at the city building. And if I wrote down the time, believe we're doing, the time is 7? 7, I'm sorry. And we already have some people signed up. There's limited to 24 people. We are going to charge $5 to make it fun, but the money will go to support our adopted troop. I'll go to them. 7 o'clock. Great, thank you. Thank you. On Tuesday, July the 29th, oh, I know what this is. On Tuesday, July the 29th at 6:30 to 7:30, we're going to have a young kids line dancing class. It's given by Bree Reynolds. She is from the Ritz Dance Studio in Florence. The cost is going to be $5, and we would like everybody to go on and register and do that by July 18th, if at all possible. I've seen her in action. She has a children's group she does. These kids have a lot of fun. They do some line dancing like on their own, and they do like a group dance. It's a lot of fun and easy to learn for them. For them. Remembering's the problem. On Sunday, August the 3rd, we have a block of 25 tickets for the FC Cincy. It's a doubleheader. FC Cincy's playing, I want to say, Juarez on that night at 5:30, and then Monterey is going to play the New York Bulls at 8. So those tickets will be $10 for Lakeside Park residents, $22 for non-residents, and we need you to go online and also register and pay for those tickets. And I don't know if I had a deadline for that. I don't know that we had a deadline for that, but earlier, the information, more detailed information is on the website, I promise. And I think last but not least is we are going to have our bingo, our first bingo here in August, and we're going to more like a carnival night, carnival day. It's a senior event. It'll be on August the 12th at 2 to 3:30, and we will have a cost of a couple dollars to offset the cost of the refreshments since we are no longer collaborating with Fort Mitchell on these events. And I believe that's it, unless Cassie, you have anything to add to recreation, or Teresa, if there's something else? And also, if there is anybody out there interested in being a recreation coordinator, it'd be great to contact the office, or anybody willing to volunteer for any of the events. You will be more than welcome to join us. I think that's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Stamen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there any old business?
Mayor, can I just, I might have missed that,
Yeah.
but when Mr. Bernheimer was talking about the flags, you can't help but miss those veterans flags along Dixie and Fort Mitchell. Have we ever talked about that? We certainly have a lot of veterans here. Is it a cost thing, a time thing?
I have requested Mr. Greer to look into the cost of those, whether or not we would put them up. I do understand that the ones that are in Fort Mitchell and the city of Erlanger, those were all donated by various businesses. We don't have the business base that the other cities do, but the signs like that could be changeable. It wouldn't necessarily always be the veterans. Could have them for different seasons.
So when you were talking about flags, just these
Flags, just the American flags were put up. And, there was a little bit of discussion at Public Works last year about that, but we had not proceeded
Right.
further with that at this point. But it's certainly something to bring up.
And we still have those pavers available if anybody wants to do a memorial for a veteran, or anybody at the park as well.
And the information for that is on our website.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other old business? Comments from council? Hearing none, I believe that we're up for one final motion.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Mrs. Stamen. Is there a second?
I think I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Bernheimer. Is there any discussion?
do, don't they?
That sounded like discussion.
I'm sorry, it was.
All, hearing no discussion, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. We are adjourned.
My son's gone. He's at the house.
Dennis, we could get your flag.